person elected.
Now, my son reads to him. I did years ago.
I was thinking, you want to do that, and I thought, yeah, it's retired.
Yeah.
You need to retire from your real job.
Yeah. Yes, no.
Hey, how are you?
And then, so then it's just the three of us that can go. So there's 5. So is 3. Do we need 3-0 or can 2-1? You know, we're trying to figure.
Yeah, 3-0 and 2-1.
Will 2-1 count? Because you don't have a majority.
You don't have the majority.
Well, that's the question. You know, 2 is more than 1, but it's not 3 of 5. Because we actually have 5 members.
But if you get 4,
But
and you're 2 and 2, you're still sitting as we were.
But that's only if we get this position filled. Who can vote? Because you're going to abstain.
What's that again?
You're going to abstain.
Yeah, I can't.
You know, so unless we have a 4th person, we can't get even 3-1. We could have 2-2. That's a new person. And I don't know the status of the new appointment.
I think it's city council. Yeah, I thought with 3 members that gives you the 3-0 or 2-1 with anything you do. That is, unless you got.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question. Suzanne, how are you? How are you? Good. Good.
It's done. Good morning. We'll call this meeting to order. It's 11:05. First item on our agenda is the consent agenda with the minutes from September 25th. I will make a motion to accept them as presented. Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the agenda minutes from September 25th, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, moving on to old business, the financial reports from both the TIF and non-TIF districts in Lexington Village. We have not yet, before John Michael says anything, we have not yet gone back and done all of our due diligence on everything out there that's anything straggling out. So we're getting closer. Again, also make some changes to it. Have a new category which has, we for a while the Board of Accounts said we shouldn't have any maintenance. Now we've gotten into the property business. We have maintenance, so we're going to go back and add that category in and break that out for especially residential TIF stuff. Nothing else much new there.
I kind of have one question.
Yep.
It's on the consolidated area, and it's under the expenses.
Okay.
The $10,000 there, the very last item.
Yes, I have. I replaced that. I have a version that doesn't have that has it filled in. It's actually. Is it Star Master? I can't think of the name of the company. I can't think of the project. Well, anyway.
Yeah, not a big deal. I just saw it didn't have a label, so I just wondered what it was.
What happens is just to give you the long story long, when I receive the bank statement and I'll put the numbers in, and then I don't get the copies of the checks. So then I have to work with the clerk treasurer's office to see what is it for, because sometimes we split them up and that kind of stuff. So I'll look at the Board of Works document, see if I can't find them there. Anyway, that one was, it is something.
It wasn't actually incurred expense, we just looked for the details.
Yeah, it was American Structure Point. That's who it is.
Okay,
And so that was the Chase Davis Master
Yeah.
Planning. Yes, okay.
got it.
I knew it was there somewhere.
Okay,
So, yeah,
all right. That's my only question.
yep. We're working better to try to do some things to help that process out, but it's kind of a, it's a case where I don't have access to the password to see the checking account, so I don't see the check, so I can't do that. So then they give it to me. And sometimes it's a case where we've issued 3 checks to 3, so a lot of times I add the same dates up and try to see if I can make a match. And then somebody hasn't cashed their check, so we got 2 of the checks, so I can't tell. So say a lot of times it depend on Robin at the clerk's treasurer's office for that. So anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I've got some of the budgeting done, most of it except for the last meeting, and we're other than the $260 that we spent for the parks, and the amount for the splash pad now, we're almost all paid off. We're real close. So what you're seeing is an actual budget of what Mike's got updated. We're not
Well, I can think of it's going to be a little, not trickier, but out there. We've got the property at the Dykeman Golf Course that'll be streaming over 3 years, so we'll need to get that on there to show that that's already been.
already. So-
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying that 262 is out there, and I know that one. The one for the splash pad is out there, and I know that one. So, but all the rest, I think we've got about 5,000 left on the pavilion out at the Cass today, and we've got the rest of our mowing fee, which basically we're done. So, and we were way over budgeted there. We're not anywhere near the 40,000. So we'll have money coming back in there. So, but I'll send you the spreadsheet I've got so you can see it and see the update of where we're at.
Great, thank you.
So we've got the bill, we've gotten the bill now for the fencing at Lexington Village. Is it up, I assume? I assume it wouldn't go before they had it done, so looks nice.
Nice fence.
It's just like a fence.
Yeah, it looks like something the kids are gonna climb on. All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the financial reports as presented for the TIF and non-TIF district in Lexington Village.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 709 North 6th Street property, which is the old Il Tipwa. I apologize in some cases, the fact that we just haven't got it all consensus yet. We have, the good news is we had 4 people that we had advertised it originally, and no one was interested at the appraised value. We then had 4 candidates that came in and were interested in the property, and we then looked for some outside help, asked about, I think it was 17 people in various local boards and stuff like that to give their opinions on these different companies. They all present their packets. It came down to where we had a tie between Princess Lorena wants on a work project, work office space, apartments, and some other stuff in there, some retail, and with Klein Construction for their business. And so they tied. So then we had some meetings with both and went through the property. John Michael and I went through the property. With Indiana state laws, only 2 of us could be there. So it was a case where Suzanne's kind of out of the loop. We've had some issues also about how we best, we had cases in the past, and I always point to Gothard as one of them, where we worked with them to get the property. We did some stuff with adding new sidewalks, lighting, they helped me fix the parking lot up. Stuff we wouldn't always do, but we wanted to get that grocery store back open. And then they were there for a year or less, and then now they're going to sell the building, but they've raised the price since we put all this stuff into it. It's now more valuable. That wasn't our intention. Our intention is to take a property that wasn't being used and to put it back into activity. And our thought was, if you help to make it of more value, it'll continue to roll over and roll over. I don't believe at the time, I was just before my time when they did this vote, but I think the idea was, you want to keep this thing on the market and alive and thriving. And so I think we're looking harder on this project here with both Prime and with the Princessa, and the fact that we want to make sure that they don't get this property and it sits there. So timing is kind of important. And we kind of found out that we're disjointed. We talked to both candidates. One of them said, hey, I don't mind, guaranteeing that I will not sell this property for 15 years. We did not ask that same question to the other group. So we've got a lot of things that, again, we're going to learn a lot from this project. Other thing that happens to us, we've got one of our members has resigned and gone to a different board. We don't have a replacement for that person yet. So at this point, we have 3 members, and with a 2-1 vote, if you have a 2-1 vote, that's not a majority. We have 1 member who has to abstain from this project. So it's kind of crazy, but what I'm going to ask to do now is to table this for this meeting. We'd like to get the new member on board, and then I think it would be best to have a work session. And what does that mean? We can't, to say, when we went through the building with the 2 candidates, it was just John Michael and I. So in this case, Suzanne wasn't there, or if we had all of us, we have 5 board members, we couldn't all 5 go through and have the presentation at the same time without. So if we have a work session, it gets advertised, and then all of our board members can hear what both candidates have to say. Because what you find happening is, we go, John Michael and I go see it, and then Suzanne might say, what did they say about this? We go, well, we didn't ask about that. So, it's a case where we need to really get everybody on the same page. We want to set a good precedent here, too. I'd like to think that the 4 candidates we have for this stuff, that we might also work with Aaron and stuff and look at some of the key buildings in town. Can we find, other buildings that we could get moved at the same time? We got 4 people that wanted to invest some money to make something happen. Do we have options for the other, one of them's going to get this building, and they got 3 others that are interested in something else. So hopefully we can work on that also and get something, we can, turn this lemon into lemonade in multiple ways. We're learning a lot about this process also, just the fact that, in most cases, we don't have 4 people wanting to do something. You have 1 person that you're begging to do something or whatever to do. So anyway, I'm going to make a motion that at this point we table the 709 North 6th Street property decision, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion, questions? Okay, so all those in favor signify by a sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. So anyway, we will get with the owners and try to arrange a work session time. Work session's open to the public, so anybody can come to that meeting. And would say, well, then we'll just, I think it's best, it's kind of handy when we walk through the building with the 2 candidates. It was neat to see their visions and what they wanted to do, but that doesn't help the other board members for us to explain it to them. So I think this is probably the smarter motion in the first place, is to hold and potentially have a work session where we start at the building, have each one go through with the board, and then we'll come back here and then discuss it further, talk about the things we want to have. We've gotten from both of them timelines on the exterior of the building. We've not done anything. Again, another question was on the interiors. We didn't put any kind of wanting to know how soon will you do this inside the building. For us, as the RDC, we've had cases where we've helped with some properties, and those properties don't get developed. They just sit there, and people say, why did you guys do this? The building still looks like it did before. So, we are viewing the outside as really important to get it looking nice. Any owner that has a business that thrives inside, is going to they're concerned about the inside stuff. Much as we had years ago, I remember we had a small restaurant that you look at the facade program on the exterior of the thing, but they needed a new cooler for their restaurant. So the roof needed repair. got pushed back so they could do a cooler. So that's just the way, where things work. But I'm excited the fact that we had 4 people interested. I'm excited that we had 2 people that were tied, that really stood out as being projects that people saw, and we'll go from there. All right. Moving on to new business. Next is Resolution 2024-349, house demolition at Ray Street.
Ray Street, we finally got the asbestos report back. It came back clean. So had to fill out a worksheet for the state, so wait to hear back on that, and then local permit. But we are to the point of demolition. And with that, I have reached out to 3 different companies. The first one hasn't responded. The second one was a recommendation from Logansport Utilities, and they did respond at $15,000, but they wouldn't haul anything away. So talking to the street department and other city entities, they don't have the capacity to do that. So the only estimate I'm getting back that encompasses everything was the one I sent to you for $18,606. It's a recommended company from Matt Swisher. He has experience with this company. They do take it away, they backfill the foundation, they level the site. It's all inclusive in that number. So my recommendations is we go with Baker Excavating.
Address isn't right. Address isn't right. It's 619?
And it's 916. Yeah, we won't take down the wrong house. Been done in the past, not by us.
This says 619 on the
It's 916, yeah.
Bill?
Where's that at?
I think it's on.
Oh, just the agenda.
I'm sorry, my mistake.
Oh.
So on the resolution, the address on the resolution is correct.
Yes.
The address on the agenda is incorrect. We'll try to get that correct before we start tearing. And just as a point of reference, and I still need to check into this, when we had the tenant that was in there, we told them they could take anything they want since we're going to tear it down. They took off the doors. So I had a call from the police that there were some kids that messed around inside the house. We are not very prepared to handle these kind of things. We don't have a crew to go out there and throw some plywood on the doors. And I don't know if we need to now have it condemned before we obviously we're waiting to get the bids back. If we need to do something to it to say, before we tear it down, it's condemned because there's no doors and everything's stripped out and the cabinet doors are missing and, but anyway, so we learn every day.
It looked like Jacob left, but I'd be curious, just from a liability standpoint, does it just fall under a blanket? Is there a blanket policy that the city has that the RDC falls under, and in case somebody does go in there and breaks their leg or it's worse? Do we know?
I asked someone that question. I also asked him if we were protected on this board. And, like director's insurance, I was told that the umbrella of the city covers all this stuff.
Kelly, do you know?
I think we have a separate policy for all board members, what the title is. You guys on that is a separate deal. Now, with the property, we're good at getting letters from the company saying that this is not covered, but typically it is. We have broad coverage of all property and general liability.
Owned by the city or the Redevelopment Commission?
Well, the body of city government, I've never looked at specifically as to whether.
I would guess the one issue we would have, there's always the word negligence, which is key. If now that we know the doors are not covered, are we negligent not to get that done immediately or whatever? And
Jacob, we're just talking about the house at Ray Street there that Mike was saying the doors were taken off and kids were in there. And I was just curious if there's any insurance that we would have based on like a blanket policy that the city has. And then Mike raises a good point, even if it is covered, but we know the doors aren't on there, are we negligent? And so would we even have a claim that could be made if somebody does get hurt?
I imagine that was most likely covered, probably put some, at
Right.
least, at minimum, a sign, no trespassing or something like that. But I would think that most of the things are covered, but we can make sure that it's added to whatever, just to make sure that, but I would say.
I didn't know if we needed
Cover
it,
the doors or add a sign that says no trespassing.
I didn't know if we needed to talk to the building commission, have it condemned, you know, before we do something, that makes a difference whether it's, okay. And I presume, Bill, this is gonna be, did they give any indication of when they could do this? If we approve it?
Probably as soon as we can get the okay from the state.
Okay,
I mean, he didn't act like it was a long list of down the road. Yeah, it needs to come down soon.
Yeah.
I think we need to put board up the doors.
yeah.
But then it needs to come down.
I walked through it when the police called and I went down there, and another fun part of my job. It's pretty rough, and I mean, there's a lot of
It was rough.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was not, he did not keep it in fantastic shape, but, you know, but they were living in it, so, you know, it was May.
So who will
Have you ever had a claim filed against the board?
The what?
Has a claim ever been filed against the board?
Like
Somebody getting hurt on our properties or any kind of?
not in my time.
I don't, not at all during my time. You've been here longer than me, but the thing we do and do more often now is own property, and we haven't done that a whole lot in the past.
Yeah, we did not.
Generally, any city of Logansport entity is covered under our policy.
Okay, that's, I think, the question.
Under one part of it, and civil city, another part, that's police, fire, and you guys, I would think are covered.
An extension.
Policy, see otherwise.
Okay.
But negligence is what is covered, so I mean, that being said, we have a $10,000 deductible. So these claims get paid.
Right.
Seems like a minor thing. It's amazing how those claims always exceed
Right.
$10,000.
Every time.
Yeah. But it's, you know, say, we learned all kind of, this property maintenance thing is quite a thing, and the fact that we had like, last month, you know, we had a situation where, you know, the El Tipo building, the grass needs cut. Okay, so we need to have a meeting to have a resolution to get the grass cut and to pay somebody. We ended up asking the Parks, and then for this house on Race Street. We went and asked the Parks Department if they could go cut the grass, and they said yes. So it was nice to have the inner city there, but it's like this stuff like, okay, just getting a door boarded up, okay, who do we ask? You know, do we, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're kind of a funny board, and we don't have a working mechanism for a board to do that kind of stuff, but.
Bill, the one question I wanted to ask you was, I just saw they're going to backfill it with sand. You know, thinking about the potential future use, I mean, the plans I've seen are more like a parking lot in that area. Is that sufficient, or will they just deal with it at the time?
I mean, if we had other fill, could use it.
Right, because it just seems like it's going to be added expense later if they have
I
to
don't
go
see
and
anything
rip it out and
beyond
put
the
in.
parking lot for that area there. I mean, everything we have otherwise is moving to the north. So it won't sit on that. But yeah, parking lot, and we've run into parking lot issues
Right.
with the ground. So, you know, his bids for sand, I think if we would provide other fill, he would fill it with that.
Okay, just might be something to consider, because it will be added expense, I guess, for somebody else down the road, and maybe that's okay, but it'll be time and money, so.
I think, isn't that all under the ordinances we have for demolition? I mean, Dave may know back there, but I'm thinking that everything we take down has to be backfilled, and then it has to be seeded.
I don't know what the guidelines are, but I know that Rob would have those guidelines.
Right. And that's the other thing, we'll have to have a contract with this company to go through Board of Works for the approval for it.
There's a certain way of doing it. They're not gonna be able to just do whatever they wanna do. That's what happened with another guy here in town, and that's why there were so many problems. So they're on top of that.
And I think the idea is if you fill with like just dirt, it will settle. And whereas sand levels itself, and I think it basically is a more secure base than would be tossing a bunch of dirt, clay, and stuff in there and have it and sink down. So as far as having a parking lot later, I think sand probably is the better choice, but I assume that's why they do that in their quote.
Just a question, because if it's something we have to deal with later, it'll be an added expense later, so just making sure it will. So
We
can
become
we just
quite
make
expert
sure
in
we
that area.
do what is expected now, and so it's ready to go later. Not gonna hold things up.
Hello? I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 2024-349 in the amount of not to exceed $18,606 paid to Baker Excavating for the demolition of the 916 Ray Street property. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by a sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Next is Resolution 2024-350, the Trelleborg site and some work that Bose McKinney has done. Mr. Cuppy.
Trying to progress this and get out ahead of it before we're looking backwards. And Trelleborg's going through some remediation and some environmental things, and just felt we needed an attorney looking that specializes in this type of thing. The ultimate goal down the road will be to have this area another TIF. I mean, you're not going to redevelop this area just naturally. It's going to take the mechanisms that a TIF can provide. So with that, we need to first make sure what it's available to have there, what the environmental things are, all the rules, regulations behind that. So Bose McKinney has specialists in this area. Budget, we have an area of $10,000 for this type of thing. I would like to get the up to, not to exceed the $10,000 for legal administrative fees for Bose McKinney for this particular area. That would help us not only environmental, but potentially kickstarting the whole TIF initiation for that area. So that's my request.
And specifically 5724 for this.
It would be under that number.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah, it's not in addition to.
Okay.
So there's more to come, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What you learn is when you talk to attorneys, you think you're just talking to them on the phone, and then you get a bill, so. Nevertheless, he's done a lot of work for us, and this is a delicate situation as far as trying to find housing and developers and grants, and the city owns it, and move it to a TIF, environmental concerns, so it's going to definitely take a specialist.
So do we need to modify this to the, right now we're saying a not to exceed, which is the bills they've already submitted, the 5,724.
It's on there not to, Dwayne prepared it for not to exceed 10,000.
Okay.
So it'd be under that number, but there's room for more, is why we went with that number.
So there's an amended 2024-350.
I wrote, this is the one I wrote up. I wrote it for the exact amount. I didn't know you wanted it for the 10.
This is fine. You wanted the contract for 10. That's what we got.
Okay, that was my, I saw that you
Yeah.
sent it, and
I assume you wanted the contract to match the resolution, because you want,
this was just for the one payment is what I wrote it up for.
this is the concern now. This is what we need. The contract's for $10,000. Or less.
It's fine, we can bring another resolution back to cover up.
If something else comes up, then, okay, then we're fine with this number.
This will get them paid right away.
Okay. So I'll make a motion, we accept Resolution 2024-350 in not to exceed $5,724 to be paid to Bose McKinney and Evans for the Trelleborg site. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Now, to piggyback this, I also in your packet have the letter of engagement from Bose McKinney Evans, and basically, I'm going to make a motion that the board allows me to sign on behalf of the board, and this is for a fees not to exceed $10,000 for that Trailbrook site. Is there a second allowed giving me permission to sign on behalf of the board?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. I don't know, in that case, when I sign this, Dwayne, if I give this back, if I give it to you guys, will you guys send it to these guys, or do I need to?
You sign it, and then we'll run it through the Board of Works so that the city will know, so that it's approved. And then I already have, I think, a claim for this one ready to go, so as soon as it's signed, we can
Send the
send them the
contract.
1,000 and get it
Right.
taken care of.
But then also give them a copy of the contract. Yeah, a signed copy, okay. All right, next on the agenda is Resolution 2024-352.
Bill, do you have a developer for that?
There's a developer that is working with the council and us that has submitted for, I think it's IHCDA tax credits. So if they receive them, then yes, we have a developer.
And they've proposed.
They went through an
anything to
RFP process, and I don't remember the exact details. Jacob might remember the exact, it's a lot of units. It's a housing addition.
you? You have a guy? You have people?
Yeah, like I said, it's all contingent on the awarding of the tax credits, or if they don't get them, they still have the opportunity to go forward without them, but most likely it's that. It's also, that project's also in the ready process a little bit, but that's just a slow thing, so there may be some opportunities there depending on ICDA. They have it broken out into two separate projects, so they may get one of their phases this time around and then go forward and try to get another one. But yeah, it's very contingent on the state.
And how far down the road?
How far down the road as far as? how
For
long it's
something
gonna take? So the remediation should be done within the next couple of months, and then if they're awarded the tax credits, from what I understand, I think you have to do it within 3 years. So that would be their timeline.
And who's going to decide the tax credits?
That's the ICDA.
Okay.
And that should come in the next couple of weeks, I believe, those decisions. So we'll know a lot more on that project here in the next month or so.
Had a number of these in the past, with like, I think Tangy School, we had a couple of these where things were contingent on them getting that money, and then it either went forward or not. Typically, ones I've seen, if they get the money, it goes forward. If they don't get the money, they don't usually develop it on their own. But that's not, not impossible here.
It's a huge property to develop, so there's a lot could go on there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it includes some elements of public space. The proposal to the IHCA includes a facility there that they bring some childcare in and things like that. So if they're awarded, it could be a really awesome development.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
Especially for the west side.
Yeah, they would include some elements of park space that would be within the development, but would really be open for the neighborhood and things like that. So I'm excited for it. Fingers crossed on the next couple of weeks.
Good.
Right. Next is the Century Career Center Training and Education Program, Resolution 2024-352. And is this the one we, Dwayne?
Yeah, this one, I
changes?
added a third section for this one, which I can pull it up, just so that it would be paid either through the school or to the vendors, is the difference, because you didn't have a.
They wanted to pay it because there's been some timing issues of us paying, so
The school wants to pay it?
that's why I have specifically, they want reimbursed. Yeah, they want to be the payer. We would be reimbursing the school.
Oh, okay.
Because there's, like I said, there's been some timing. Some of these outfits are dealing with, expect payment pretty quick, and
Okay.
we haven't been able to whatever.
Okay.
So that's why this one specifically is a reimbursement.
Okay. Because I thought maybe you wanted it, because the one is a quote and one's an invoice, and that's the reason why I wondered if you were not wanting to pay the vendors.
That's their request, for them to pay it, and then they would show us they paid them,
Okay.
and then we would reimburse them.
Right, which is what we did before,
Yeah.
which is fine, yeah.
Probably these kind of cases might be easiest to have a reimbursable because it is a case where they go out and research what they want to have, they come to us. It takes 30 days for us to do it, and then we approve it, and then we're paying these vendors, but then oftentimes the vendor sends the bill to the school, then we want to have it redone in our name, and so I think in some ways that makes it easier.
Just to note, to date for this year, we have approximately just under $250,000 allowable with that 15% threshold. You've approved 2 items this year, $49,400 for the welding pathway and $23,979 for photography lab and digital design pathway. So if you approve this, we're just about halfway towards that threshold.
That include the Lewis Cass?
It does, but they don't have a large portion because they're only industrial park.
But the numbers you just, the 40,
Yeah.
the 23?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, they've been told the program. We've both talked to their Polytech director multiple times, so they're quite aware they can make a request. Even if they did, there's plenty of space left.
Did we budget 15%, Bill, or did we budget 10 and we're allowed to go up to 15?
I don't have it in
Do you
front of me.
remember? Okay.
I think we budgeted 15, I think.
Did we?
I thought we moved it back up.
Okay.
In Lewis Cass's case, it's a little strange in the discussions I've had with them because they don't do all their schooling at that location at Lewis Cass. It's done at Mechanical and other places. So now you're going out of the county. They're sending their kids out of county, and so I asked him what we would need to know how many kids from the county are being educated. I mean, it's kind of a weird situation, and this guy is like a volunteer or something like that. He's never gotten back to me. He's also talked to the county RDC, but so it's just and you know they were doing one thing they were looking at was like a fire training area, but they were going to be training their volunteer fire department, not their kids at the school. It was it was kind of a weird, you know, the request was kind of saying, we want to have this for our school program, but then it won't be school kids that are training, it's going to be these firemen. Anyway, so it hasn't gone any farther. He never called me back. I asked him for some more details, and it was kind of strange because I asked him, I said, I'd like to go take a tour of your facility. You know, I've been to the Career Center a number of times, and it's pretty exciting when you go through and you see all these kids doing this stuff. You know, he called when they were out of school, and I said, I'd like to go see if there's, 300 kids in this room, or if there's, 2. Yeah, because I had heard they only had a daycare out there, is all they were doing. So I just want to make sure that we get what we're paying for, so. Okay, so we should be able to take this resolution as is then, right, Dwayne?
Yeah, you just need to make a motion.
So we're not going to amend it. I make a motion for Resolution 2024-352, not to exceed $64,545 to be reimbursed the Logansport Community School Corporation for our educational and training program. And this is for machinery. I thought this was kind of interesting. I should have passed along what Bill had given me, but they had to note the fact that a lot of the stuff that they do now is all computer controlled and this kind of stuff, which is trendy, except there's a lot of places where these kids go get a job then, they don't have the computer controlled stuff. So this is going to train them on machinery, kind of old school as it would be, but it is kind of a neat thing that they realized, when we started this program, a lot of their equipment was behind the times, and so they were getting equipment that was, updated, computerized and stuff. Now you find out that that's great, because there's some places that are updated and have that stuff, except there's also places that want to hire these kids that don't have the modern stuff. So I thought it was kind of neat that they actually understood that and said, we need to be teaching these kids in both areas, so that they're employable. Okay. I'll make a motion. Did I make the motion?
Second.
Okay, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by a sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Thank you. We haven't seen Erin for a long time. Here she is. 2000, Resolution 2024-251 is for the mailboxes at Lexington Village.
Yeah, so there's 2 mailboxes that would be on Mike Anderson Lane, 2 mailboxes on the South Dingo Drive, and then 1 mailbox on North Dingo Drive. These will be located in the right-of-way, and I've already talked to the master developer out at Lexington Village about installing them. One thing that I was wondering is if we could move this up to not to exceed 20,000. I just don't know on delivery, because we didn't have that established yet, so I just like to bump it up a little bit just for that cost that's probably going to be there.
Okay. Okay, so I will make a motion first to amend Resolution 2024-351 to change the total project cost not to exceed $17,860 to not exceed $20,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of amending Resolution 2024-351 signify with sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes, the change to amend it passes. Now, we go back to Resolution 2024, and by the way, for the, when we first did the project, there is a new, not new, I guess, but a U.S. Postal thing where they want to not have their mailman delivering to every house out there in Lexington Village. They have to go to one of these box things, which I say is kind of nutty to me since it's in the city limits, but, it is what it is. Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 2024-351 for mailboxes at Lexington Village not to exceed $20,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just have a question. On the remaining balance in the construction fund, is there anything else that we're expecting? So there's $36,000 in that account, so that's where this will come from. So there'd be about $16,000 left. Anything else we're expecting? I know we're talking about the sidewalks,
Yeah, that's still
how that will
looking
be
at just an
funded.
estimate for that.
because that was pretty significant.
Yeah.
So that will come from somewhere else, some here and then elsewhere. Okay. Okay.
And I did talk to the master developer and some owners out there on the placement of the mailboxes, so.
All those in favor signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes.
Thank you.
On that same topic, Aaron, I saw some cross-traffic with sidewalks out there. There's been some discussion about, getting that out there. And I saw something where the original designers put sidewalks only on one side of the street. And I don't know if that's something we need to revisit and see if,
Yeah, so the purpose was to provide sidewalk and at least having it on one side of the street, just to cut down on costs, but it's kind of, you guys are like, once you get the estimate, you may just want to do one side.
Yeah. That's significant.
As I say, in my neighborhood, there are no sidewalks, and then a block over, they did put sidewalks in, and you do end up having kids then walking on the street sometimes, which isn't, and I say, and up where my business is at, I'm always not whacked out. I'm always intrigued by the fact that they have sidewalks there by the high school on one side, and people will walk in the street on the other side, rather than cross the street to get onto the sidewalk. So I'm always I'd like to stop and say, now, why wouldn't you walk on that sidewalk?
Yeah.
because there's not one on this side of the street. So, okay. All right. Next thing is just any updates from Bill or Aaron, anything you guys have?
You guys talked about the golf course, and the requirements are to get 2 appraisals. 2 appraisals were ordered, one from Metzger, one from Sheldon Holsinger. Sheldon's came back in at $200,000. You agreed to pay $250,000. They have an agreement for $250,000. We don't have the other one back. So what happens is you take the average of the 2. If it's less than $250,000, you can still pay for it, but you have to have council's consent. And we don't know what the number is yet, so I can't go to council yet. It'd have to come in at $300,000, and I don't anticipate that. So it'll come in low, and then you have options. You don't want to pay it, go back to the seller, or get approval from council. So that's where that is. The other thing on the agreement between the landowner and for the practice range, is there's an easement requirement. They are not going to sell it until they are granted an easement back to the remaining portion of their land. That is tentatively on council's agenda for Monday night, if we can get more details. Because the attorney is Brad Rosie, and he's kind of tied up right now, and depends on if we can get enough information from John Hillis to bring that request. So those are the 2 things going on with the golf course. Not much in your park yet, but eventually you're going to see a number, and you're going to have a decision. Do you still want to pay $250,000? And if you do, we got to go to council. The other thing is, I think I've mentioned in the past, we've had a couple complaints at our industrial park about the road. So I've been out there several times, and it is not good. It's in the city's inventory, but it's rated a 5, 1 through 10 scale. So it's not on their immediate community crossings list. With that, I'm potentially going to look to the TIF. I mean, I think it's a road. It's something we need to at least talk about. As of this morning, I have an estimate from Central Paving. I've tried for 3 different estimates, like the road, just until you get past what is Logan Stampings, because trucks aren't supposed to go beyond there anyway, because there's a county road. That's 96,000 square feet. The remaining portion's another 50,000. Then you have the billiard drive that goes back there to Engle Trucking. That's a separate estimate. So I got several estimates coming at me. The most immediate need, I think, is from the entrance of the sign just past Logan Stampings. And that is, there's no request today, by the way, $184,000. It shocked me as much as I thought it would, but basically that's mill and fill. That's milling a couple inches off and then putting 2 inches of asphalt on top, and then striping.
So can we change the rating from 5 to something higher? Or get some relief from the city. I mean, they would address it at some point, just out of curiosity.
I had to dig in deeper with Tony Shanks. He just said that's what the latest. They do like I don't think it's something they just determine on their own. I think they hire consultants, and they can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure they hire somebody, an engineer that goes through the whole inventory and rates them all, would be my guess.
It's probably based on traffic or something, but obviously it's crumbling, it's deteriorating. So should it have been rated differently?
If you go out there, they have these lines that run kind of like the Heartland. Mm-hmm. They run north to south. Mm-hmm. All every 10 foot, you have this. Mm-hmm. Thump, 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 thump. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's heavy trucks and weather. And, but we're a month away from potential requests, so start thinking. I think it's a need. They're starting to complain about it, and if we're wanting to land up to 4 more companies out there, we got to make it look good.
Okay.
Probably also going to have the point that they stop doing asphalt coming up.
Oh, yeah, this will be a 2025 project.
Right, yeah, so I don't think you're going to get done this year. Okay.
it wouldn't be this year.
And probably, I mean, this is, in the big picture, in the city side, you know, you've got a lot of people, you know, this removing lead pipes is a wonderful project, but people are not looking at that part of the project. They're looking at the fact that they've got, you know, a lot of asphalt that's got some dips in it. So I think that probably, you know, in the big picture, us asking to fix this for the city is not gonna be, it will not move, I don't think it'll move up from 5 to 1, because I think that's, you know, that's our area, you know.
The contention I would see from the city side is that all the taxes are captured for you. So they haven't captured any revenue
True.
to fix those things.
Yeah.
So down the road, though, it will be their responsibility, because when the TIF dissolves and ends, then it'll be their problem the next time.
And one thing on that, assuming that the community crossings program continues into next year, depending on, you know, what happens in November, it is something that you guys, we could partner, you know, maybe you guys fund the 50% match.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do the application and it gets done for 50 cents on the dollar. We rarely have maxed out our community crossings applications anyway. So I think that'd be something that's pretty easy to fold in. It might just delay it a couple of months.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Last thing I have, and you talked about sidewalks, it wouldn't be a this year thing, in my opinion anyway, but we do have one estimate. It is just for one side. I've been requested to get another estimate, but the one estimate we have is for $122,000 for one side.
Out at Lexington Village?
Yes. So keep that in mind. This won't be, I don't think, a 2024 at this time, but do we want to do both sides? Do you want to do no
And
sides?
that was just kind of additive, right? I mean, there was already some sidewalk on those sides, right?
Yeah, where you see sidewalks now, it would just be an extension for
Right.
the rest of those sides.
The other would.
That's also for Yorktown. It's both areas.
Right, but if we were to try to put the same thing on the other side of the road, they're just not even existing. It'd be all new sidewalk. So it's not like it'd just be 244,
Yeah.
It'd be-
Exactly.
plus quite a bit more footage. Okay.
That's all I got.
There's also some
On
discussion
your radar.
that, you know, that they'll do the sidewalk, and then when they sell the lot, they'll have to cut that, and for the drive, when they do the driveway, they'll lay it over. But it is what it is.
I just wanted to inform you guys about the Rose Holman students. They did make their first site appearance for Riverside area. I don't know what we're calling that, but 6th Street to Riverside. They met with utilities, soil and water, the parks, so they've met with quite a few people and the mayor. And then Chase and Davis also came in, and they met with the same people. We're gonna try to get some traffic counts and work with the street department of health and the highway department to get traffic counts. If you know, there were some traffic counters out there. Those were with the North Central Regional Planning Commission. They did it during fall break, so I'm working with the highway department and street department to recount those while school's in session. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. And then the only other thing, not to talk about Lexington Village again, but so we were never able to find anybody that would take care of the pond area. So it may be something we want to look at doing riprap or something like that, then it's more of a spraying versus a mowing situation. I know that would be a lot, but just something to think about over the winter months, what we're going to do next year with that. I did call the company that does Walmart. They contacted me back, but they didn't really act like they were super interested. So we can try them again and just kind of hound them if we want to try to get something going on that. But anyway, just something for you guys to kind of mull over and think about what direction we want to go.
That was just the mowing in that area.
Yeah, so it's the mowing in the area. The company that I called also does water quality, but they're more focused on water quality than really maintenance. So
The company we have that's mowing out there now, they're not interested in continuing at all.
yeah, I even
That's
had
why.
him check with some other people he knew to see if they'd be interested in doing that, and no one that he had contacted was interested in mowing the pond area. So anyway, just something to think about as we go forward.
All right. Any public comments? No? All right, board member comments. Anybody?
A couple of things. Mike, I noticed the interest rates on our funds, decreased a bit. I just think we need to keep an eye on that. It's still very competitive and good, in my opinion, at 5.2. But just kind of keep an eye, because I don't know that anybody got a notice. It just happens. So we'll find out on the statement. So just to keep an eye.
I saw
on
that
it.
in this month. It was in this month's stuff. And, realistically, that's how we're funding the discretionary fund.
Right.
So it is kind of important
Right.
for the stuff we do outside the normal boundaries.
I talked to Gail at Verizon, and with that last change, it was going to drop down to 4.85.
Oh, is it? Okay. So that's coming down.
And he also warned that another rate period.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
It was at 5.21 this month, and I think we were at 6.5 last.
5.35, I think, Mike, is maybe the highest. And it was like a rate of 5.28, but a APY of something a little higher. So not a big cut, but just something to keep an eye on. And then the other comment I just want to make is, on Gothers, I was just looking earlier to see, despite it being sold and not what we want, the property taxes have been, there was an adjustment made to their assessed value, and they continue to pay that elevated. It hasn't changed because it's not an income producing business or anything like that. So at least we're still receiving the elevated property tax, if nothing else.
That's true. That's
So.
true.
We've started an investment committee that's investing the city funds. It's me and Tyler and Dave Morris, and we've been doing that with their other funding. If you specifically want a portion of your funds, it falls under that umbrella that we can also either bid it out, not bid it out, do what you say, but if you don't want to ride with overnight rates, because they're coming down, if you want to lock something in, just let us know. We can.
Something to think about. And if we've got the discretion, might be something to think about.
It's not going to go up. So,
Likely. I mean, there is a chance. If you watch some of the inflation figures, there's a chance, but I don't think it's the most likely scenario. What's that? Oh. Yeah. That's all for me, Mike. Thank you.
okay. Anybody else have anything? No? Looking towards next month, our meeting is scheduled for November 27th at 11 o'clock. That is the day before Thanksgiving. I didn't know if that is a problem or... Wow.
Early to tell.
Jolly holiday. All right, we'll just leave it like it is then. And I think Bill's bringing turkey, right? Bringing a turkey. You said you're going to bring a turkey. Oh,
A visitor.
as a person, I didn't know that. Okay. All right, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.